Take off. Well, I'm Josh Brecheen. I am the current senator for District 6. I was elected 2010. And I want to go through a little history because I think a person's history will tell you about their future. I campaigned with the promise that I would make sure that the Oklahoma Water Resource Board had a representative from Southeast Oklahoma 4 years ago. And I said I'd run a bill every year until that had occurred. And so, in keeping with the commitment that I made, I ran a bill every year. Senator Ellis, I think, ran a bill every year. 965 came around. Senator Simpson on the Senate side, Senator Ellis, myself, we worked diligently to make sure that Senate Bill 965, which by law now, 2015, we are guaranteed representation of the Oklahoma Water Resources Board. That matters. That matters when it comes to Lake Texoma. It matters to ensuring that 2,000 acre-feet is not going to be exceeded in terms of the allocation out of that reservoir, because the Oklahoma Water Resources Board member that's going to be from Southeast Oklahoma is going to be a person that we're going to be talking to, for myself upon re-election, for the others upon re-election. We're going to be asking that person to make sure they're looking out for the interest of Oklahoma. And by contract, Texas has to provide that information to them. So I think that's important to know. 200,000 acre cap on Lake Texoma is there for a reason. By contract, we have the authority now, having a board member, to be able to ask that question and demand that Texas provide proof, verification, something that's never happened before in state history. By contract, will happen now. I also want to talk about Senate Bill 597. I made a commitment that I would work very hard to obtain the Arbuckle-Simpson Aquifer. I carried Senate Bill 597 through committee. I carried that bill through committee. The pro tem put it to the floor. One of the very things I was talking to the pro tem about when they were working with me as a candidate several years ago was the importance of protecting the Arbuckle-Simpson Aquifer. Folks, there's not many of us in this room who disagree that this is a fight. There's a fight. There's a letter that was passed out to you. Again, it goes back to history. I stood up this spring. I wanted to write my own letter because I wanted to make sure that my tone was reflected in that letter. I made sure I talked it through extensively to make sure I got to the point of asking a hard question about Tom Buchanan and a hard question about his dual role in both those boards. You have no idea the fights that I picked in my own caucus. 37 senators, and not with Senator Simpson, not with Senator Ellis, but the fights that I had to pick to be able to stand my ground, to be able to ask hard questions, to be able to make sure that when it mattered, among the 37 Republicans in that caucus, there were 11 Democrats, I'm not trying to be partisan here, but those that are up there in Oklahoma City that are making the decisions, you have to have a seat at the table if we're going to get there. Southeast Oklahoma, the biggest issue for this region, other than education, public safety, all those things, the binding issue that we are going to have to face is you have an intrusive Farm Bureau like never before. I stood against them. I stood against them hard. And I didn't do it because I was looking at political gains. I did it because, again, my history has proven when push came to shove, I was willing to step up to the plate. Even if it took time to hack off my own majority leader, I was willing to do that. This fight ahead of us, we're going to have solutions. The State Chamber, Farm Bureau, Oklahoma Independent Petroleum Association, we're going to have solutions. You're talking about the three biggest lobby groups of the cabinet. You're going to have solutions. You're going to have to be able to speak to that 37 Republican Senate majority, and you're going to have to be able to make sure that they're listening. Let me tell you the angle you must take. We've got to have a solution because they outnumber us in Southeast Oklahoma. They outnumber us. So what is the solution? You better be able to talk to them on the conservative principle that we don't use big government. What is big government? Big government is when you are piping from one basin to the other and asking the state taxpayer or what you'll see of John Collison, the federal dollars to be used to be able to put that pipeline in. That is a local issue in Altus, Oklahoma. It's a local issue. There is more water underground in southwest Oklahoma than there is above ground in southeast Oklahoma. For all the money that they are going to talk about, continue to talk about, trying to drive a pipeline, the message has to be turned in this majority, and it has to be taken, you have to appeal to them. You talk about not wanting big government, but you're wanting a big government solution to a local issue. The solution is right under the ground. The solution is you tapping into a resource, or the solution is not win-lose scenario, where Southeast Oklahoma loses. We know the history. I actually called John Collison out in a study about 2 weeks ago when I got him on the phone and in front of the colleagues, and they said you could watch his face. And I said, "You're from California. What does the history tell you when you pop from northern part of Los Angeles to Los Angeles?" The history tells you it is an economic loss. It is a win-lose. As Oklahomans, we have to go to the Capitol. We have to talk about win-win. Tapping into groundwater is win-win. Looking at what Texas, believe it or not, because of the Supreme Court decision, what are they being forced to do now? They're being forced to be visionary and build reservoirs, something that's always been left to the federal government. 1980 is the last time a reservoir was built, McGee Lake in the United States. The Kerr-McGee navigation system was visionary. It was federal. We're in a place now with $17 trillion in debt. The visionary, the focus of Oklahoma is going to be able to talk about building resources that can be tapped in other parts of the state. Now the issue there, of course, cost prohibitive. It's also going to be about, do you have the ability to get that flow in? Are you going to be able to have the ability to bank water, deposit water, evaporation, all those concerns. But you have to be able to provide solutions. You have to be able to stand your ground. Three-stranded cord is not easily broken. And you've got to have strength at the Capitol in the next few years. I'm proving. And you don't go to war with an unproven weapon. And I stood my ground. The big majority up there, you're going to have to be able to have influence in that caucus. And so I share that with you to say, I'm not looking to get reelected because it's what's in the best interest of me or my family. And that is because I truly believe in a strong sensing of the word. It must have influence.